Hi, this is Mark. I want to spend a few moments with you looking at actually dissecting your leadership platform paper. This is an important piece of the work that you do in this course. It is like a culminating work of your thinking throughout this entire program. This leadership platform paper will show up in your digital portfolio. But more importantly, this is your opportunity to once again look at and refine what is your vision, your mission, your beliefs about being an educational leader. We're going to take a look at two papers. The first one will give us a high level perspective on a few things to remember in your paper. And the second one will explore a formula, if you will, on how to structure your paper. All right, let's take a look at the first one. A couple of things just right off the top to take a look at. Of course, it's formatted the way it's supposed to. This particular author, Lori in this case, led with a quote and then use that quote as a way of capturing attention. And then in this first comment that I made here, the point of the paper is explain everything I believe, right? Everything I believe about education and educational leadership. Now, although it may not be everything, the point here in this introductory paragraph is to set forth what is your one main thing. Lori does that here toward the end on this last sentence when she says, rather it's about purpose, and then says these are the things I'm going to highlight in my leadership paper for you because they're that important to me as a leader, and they're all under the umbrella of a leader is about purpose. She has the headings, her three headings or four headings. First one's about visionaries. In this first section right here, she makes a reference to coursework. The administrative course, the education administrative courses at Cal State San Marcos. Uh, that's one of the purposes of this paper as well, and that is to use your experiences, use the references that you've gained, use the research that you've gained throughout this program as a way of supporting what it is you believe about educational leadership. So here she quotes out of the leadership challenge. Let's see here. Then there's an application of what she learned about and believes about leadership. So she makes a statement about it and then she supports it with her own personal experience. Paper continues. Now, after visionary, she now is going to address leader being a change agent as a way of demonstrating that a leader is about purpose. Quotes from readings that she's done in this particular case from Chance, and then continues on to tell about the application of that theory in her own professional career. So at this point, I think you're seeing you got an introductory paragraph, right? It states what your one main thing is, and then here are the qualities that I'm going to address in this paper. Each one of those qualities is its own separate header, and within that, in that section, there is a little formula that'll come clear in the next paper that we take a look at. Positive motivators is another section of her paper. She begins here. And this particular part I want to call out for you is that she writes from first person perspective. Now, what's easy to do in your leadership platform paper is to write another paper about leadership, about effective leadership, about what effective leaders believe and do, right? And how they demonstrate that. That is not what this paper is. This paper is your personal leadership platform. This is what you believe as an educational leader is absolutely necessary to do the work that's best for kids. You're going to use your coursework, your experiences, as a way of substantiating what it is you believe. And this is written more from that first person perspective. And it takes by doing that, it takes this paper and makes it about your leadership platform and not just another treatise on what educational leaders should or should not do. Let's take a look at a couple more comments here. Committed to excellence is the fourth of the qualities that Lori brings up. Again, she writes with I statements. This paper is about what Lori believes as that's important about leadership. And she uses books and her experiences throughout the program to support what it is she believes. Now, in the conclusion, just like a great essay, right? Oh, you said some, this is what the paper is going to be about at the introduction, and then we come around to the conclusion. And here's what she has. She restates the main points, and although she does so by referring to they, notice the last sentence. This is the kind of leader I aspire to be. Well done, paper. Excellent, actually. All right, let's take a look at one other ones. And as we look through this, uh, make sure you pay attention to how each of the segments are constructed. There are three key components to each one of those segments. All right, here's another leadership platform paper. This one starts right off with an I statement and a reflection about her journey. That's one way to look at this paper is this is what I've come to believe as a leader throughout my experience as being a leader or in my quest for a better understanding of what it is to be a leader. So it begins with reflection. When I started this journey into leadership a year ago, I know what good leadership looked and felt like, but I didn't have the tools for the knowledge to embody it myself. So through reading, observation, talking with colleagues this year, you see here how she's drawing from her experiences. Some things have become apparent to her as a leader, and that is that that leaders really do shape and motivate the school culture and the community. She goes on here and says overtly, explicitly, a connection to the coursework. My coursework in reading through Cal State University San Marcos has solidified that great administrators build relationships. And here she states what her three most important things for her about being an exceptional educational leader. And she states that they build relationships with all the people that they work with. They build capacity in teachers and students and with parents, and they model and value lifelong learning. Let's see how she does that. So in this first section right here, notice the three key components or parts of each segment of your paper. The first is a belief about leadership. Being a leader is inherently a relational process. Repeatedly through our texts, we have seen that our relationships are key in developing collaborative and effective environments. So, right off the bat, here's what I believe about being an exceptional leader. I'm going to then support that belief with research and or the standards, combination of both. But first there's the belief, then there is a supporting research or observation that she experienced. She goes on in the final paragraph here to conclude this section with an example from her own experience. So here we go from this paragraph. Chance points out that one key aspect of transformational leadership is providing individualized consideration by accepting individual differences, etc. In this model, a leader acts as a mentor or coach, which is a stronger mutual relational role between a leader and a team member. And here's where she brings in her own experience. I have witnessed this in action through the course of my administrative observations, wherein two of my administrators walk into department meetings. They ask clarifying questions, admit that they don't have an answer if they are unsure, and start dialogues to discover more information to make a good choice. These leaders are also unafraid to give leadership to another teacher or teacher leader who may have more experience in a certain area. The principal at my site calls it big me, big you, in which he means that his job as a mentor is to lift you up through your relationship with him. So in this segment, begins with a belief, followed by supporting documentation, research, standards, excuse me, etc. And then concludes with here is something that I have seen, I have witnessed, something from my own personal experience. So we have belief, support, and experience. Let's see how that happens in the next section on building capacity. Another facet of relationships is building capacity with others. Building capacity refers to efforts that improve the skills, abilities, expertise of those who you work with. So, not just is there a statement that she makes here about this is what I believe is an exceptional leader, and then there's a little explanation behind that as well. Again, comes the support here, citing two authors, and pulls a quote right from that paper, or excuse me, that book itself. Some more explanation here about this idea of building capacity, right? And then you'll notice if you when you analyze this paper, take a read for yourself, right here at the very end, although the author gives examples and are provided in this paragraph, what's missing here is an overt example from experience. That might sound like when I, or in my position as, or this became especially important to me when. Now you noticed how she did that in the first segment. It would be this segment would be stronger with that section or that component in this section as well. Lifelong learning, again, leaders are learning. She just starts with a bold belief statement, a little explanation, follows it again by support out of research, some examples. Here she cites two different research authors or books. And again, this section would have been stronger if there was an experience that she could highlight, right? And so here's another way. Here's an example of how that might sound. At my school, I've witnessed and felt the impact of how uh, a focus on research has increased students' competence and confidence. We chose teacher talk as an instructional focus, and then you could go on and talk about how choosing that focus and its implementation and the measurement of that implementation, you could actually see that there was a raise in student confidence and competence. This the ending to this paper is especially strong. Here, she's citing a personally impactful experience. And in this particular experience, she highlights all three of the characteristics that she's mentioned before in this paper. I won't read the entire thing to you. You can take a look at it. But it is a personal story about her in a leadership position working with another colleague, and by observing how this colleague went through change, she could see the importance of the qualities that she had listed in this paper so far. And then, right down to the very end, she makes a personal implementation. A personal application of those three qualities directly to her. It may be easy to accomplish one piece, but to truly show that I value all constituents and value education, I have to blend my approach. I have to show that I first and foremost care about people and that I want them to be effective in the world, whatever it brings. Then, not only is there a personal application, she brings in a personal commitment. I have to model for them that one never stops learning and growing and strengthening. When I can show out others that I value them, I value their futures, and that education is a process that lasts a lifetime, I can motivate others to learn, grow, and achieve great things. Another example of a very strong leadership platform paper. All right, so quick review, quick summary, right? Leadership platform paper. This is your platform as a leader. This is not a treatise. This is not another research paper about what leaders should or should not do. It is instead, what do you believe as a leader? What is your one main thing? And then what are three, four characteristics of a leader that supports that one main thing? And make sure in every section that you have what you believe and state it as a belief, just as a statement. Leaders are lifelong learners, for example. Follow it by support from research documents, your observations or field work that you did in this program, and also uh, possibly bring in fact, a really great idea is to bring in the standards, the administrative standards as well, to support why that particular quality is so important. And then, third part in every segment is to bring forward an experience that you've had as a leader that exemplifies, right, this quality that you were talking about. strong introduction, capture our attention, state your one main thing, and then the three parts that you're going to cover in the paper. In the conclusion, bring it right back to the very end. Right back to the very end by restating what your one main thing is, those three qualities, and then what your commitment is as a leader. I look forward to reading your platform papers, and I really look forward to dialogue with you to make them the best representation of what you believe as an educational leader.